Live streaming is on.
Yeah, now you guys can go to the.
What was that?
Yeah, I think you guys can go to that our channel and see, is it coming?
I got a live stream notification.
Can you verify his audio is audible and you can able to see that?
Okay, I'm able to hear, but let me just disconnect from the group. I'll listen and come.
Hello Akshay, there is a link I given in Meet Jitsu. Can you join in there? Hello Akshay, there is a link I given in Meet.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, Akshay, I can hear you.
Okay, so the YouTube link you are talking about?
No, this link only, Jitsu.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, actually the benefit of this Jitsi, right? We can stream into YouTube because once we do the OBS other thing, it is become very slow down.
Hey, Proful, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. So I joined on my laptop and on my phone. Just letting you guys know.
Okay, in Discord you can disconnect Akshay and Meera.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it seems to be sounding good, Proful.
Okay, that's very good.
Yeah.
Let me put some to it. Anybody else has joined newly here? They can introduce themselves. I think all are. Prasad or somebody joined newly, I think. Praveen is there.
Yeah.
Hello, Prasad. Yeah, I'll just put some to it and then we can start.
If someone could give a quick summary of the status so far, I would appreciate it.
Yeah, Meera, you want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, status of what exactly, Kenny? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that last part.
No, I couldn't join for the past week. That is why I asked.
Oh, okay. Okay, so what we accomplished during the last couple of weeks you were not here actually is very limited. So what I did was I added that Mozilla readability plugin that we have, as NPM module. So I use that for rendering articles, just pass a URL and we can read the article as a PDF or EPUB. So I just integrated that with what we had. And in addition to that, we worked on Hacker News. I think for Hacker News, you were around, right? So currently we have 4 modules: Twitter, GitHub, Hacker News, and any article URL, any web page URL can be parsed and read as PDF or EPUB. In addition to that, Tolga started working on the Svelte rather than using handlebars, which was a little complicated. So we thought it would be a nice segue to move to Svelte, because Svelte was anyway going to be used for the Twindle thread application. So Tolga started working on Svelte templates for Twitter source. So that was opened in a separate branch, and all that code was implemented, tested, and then merged into the main branch. So now Svelte templates also need to be replaced for the other sources. So right now it's working for Twitter, but for the other sources it needs to be replaced. The handlebars need to be replaced with Svelte. So that's about it. So this unit test part is something that we've been talking about for a long time, but none of us actually did it. So that and some little bit of code reorganization now that our code base has expanded well beyond Twitter. So we can take a look at the code base and see what kind of improvement can be done. That was the goal of this live stream.
Okay, great. Great progress so far, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, so today I'm thinking, Kenny and other people, I will discuss about Jest. It is not like monologue discussion like I'll talk. I'd taken some notes earlier as part of my learning. So I'll go through that quickly so that Kenny and you can also jump in, Kenny. Like this is, we can discuss and let us all be in sync about the foundational aspect of it Jest. Then we'll go into the Twindle code base and start writing the code, okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. So all people able to see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jest is a very simple testing framework, mostly released by Facebook open source. It is used heavily in Facebook. So which is quite old, but since couple of years it gaining popularity. There are previous to Jest, there are testing frameworks are very fragmented. There are different libraries are solving a particular issues. For example, for SSN, you need to have Mocha, Chai, or for mocking, you have Xenon, and there are so many, you know, libraries are available which are doing specific one bits and pieces. So to configure everything is a mess kind of thing. But Jest is a one kind of umbrella where many things can be achieved using this Jest alone. And it is very simple to use. Most of that thing, there is very less configuration to start with, and they claim to be it is zero configuration. And they have introduced a concept known as snapshots. We'll get into that a little bit later, but it is not recommended anyway to use so many snapshots related tests. But I'll give an idea about what it is about. And because of the architectural decision and because it is created by Jest, Facebook, earlier to run a test suite, right, used to take lots of time. But usually test cases written by Jest usually very faster, and they are running parallelly. And which is because once you try to write test and it will take lots of time, people will be discouraged to run that test. And there is a code coverage. Earlier there are different tools used to give in a code coverage, like how many coverage we are meeting. It is a kind of, and it is a bit debatable, like how much validity of it, like code coverage really giving the confidence about our testing. But it is already built in Jest. We can sometime run that to get a feeling that how our testing is we are doing. And this works well with the React, Angular, Vue, or Node.js, TypeScript. So anywhere JavaScript is involved. So Jest is very comfortably integrated with that. There is no need for any specific framework to learn, and the learning curve is very minimal. But initially, the setup and other thing would be a little bit challenging. But it is simpler than its predecessor. It may not be simpler whenever we are coming to the new. Let's Sekhar came. Let me. Okay, so to install this jest is very simple. Like once we initialize the project or existing project, we can add as a deb dependency, like install jest, and we can do npm run test, and there are different way to run the test. Okay. And interestingly, we are not doing any configuration. So in the right hand side, if you see package.json file, so jest, there are different versions. It will keep on upgrading. We can see the latest one somewhere. So there would be package with just known as and script like test, like just it will be automatically created or we have to edit. And wherever we see this test extension, like this is a program name app.test.js. Whenever we try to run this jest, right? So it will go and find all the test project and it will execute it, and it will give a very beautiful color coded pass or failure and some kind of information about how much time it takes and how many test cases are passed and fail and those kind of information. So all are with me, or any question here till this stage, or Kenny, you want to talk about a little bit about just history or anything like that?
I'll just one point that I want to add, and then if anyone has any questions, they can ask. That this just and testing in general is just about running ideally running the entire code base, all the functions, and seeing if the output is something that we are expecting it to be. And so essentially we are writing code to run our code, to run all the edge cases, all the different outputs or inputs that we can give to the code. So rather than us figuring out that there is an issue when we are actually using the program, or some edge cases might be difficult to capture, like it might be in a specific tweet that we have some issues. So rather than that, we are like running, simulating all the issues that could happen, and ensuring that all our functions are working as expected. So that in the future, if someone is changing some of the code in some function, this test will run and ensure that, okay, some previous functionality is not breaking or being lost. So that is the essence of doing the testing. Yeah, anyone else has any questions, they can ask.
Yeah, I think all are agree with that, Puru. Sorry, Kenny. Puru also joined, I believe. So we'll start with a simple example. This is how the test will look like, okay? So testing a pure function is very easy. And we should try to start our test coding session. We try to identify simple test and try to execute it, okay? For example, we have a function add, which can be written in a different style, This is the arrow syntax style, which is a precise, simplified syntax. But we can write into function, literal, or function expression, declaration, whatever may be the way you prefer. Basically, it takes two input and it return a predictable outcome. So whenever you pass some kind of inputs, so the output will be always remain same. And there is no external interference or external side effect which causing this to break. So whenever we show the intention of writing the test case, right? So once we pass like 2 and 3, we know this always written 5. If somebody intentionally or unintentionally change this code to A multiplied by B, then it will fail. So this test coverage will give an indication that we thought when we designed or when we written 2 plus 3 should be 5, but somebody got modified it. So it is not a proper way to do that. This is a very simple use case, but it can be applicable to any broader scenarios. That is the idea of the test case. And this is a fully functional test case, like app.js file. This is our JavaScript file name, and we can do module.export. There are different ways to export that, one function named export, default export, but it doesn't matter. Then in the test file, this is one file, app.js file, and this is our test file. So here we have to give the prefixes test. Then what will happen when we run a jest? Jest is known as test runner. So it will scan all the test.js file and it will try to execute it. And inside that, whichever the function we want to test it, we have to require it, like require up. This is the file name, and this is the function exported. Okay, and this we can give some describe it, and there are different convention, but we'll stick to simple one to start with. Other thing are just kind of ornamentally or kind of to do kind of synthetical sugars, but we'll follow this simple convention. Like test, we put some description, like this would be very meaningful. Please try to think through it, like give some meaningful description so that when somebody else will execute it or somebody run this core test again, so they will know that which particular test you are running it. And this is the like arrow function syntax, and here you write this, your test cases. So test cases are two part. These are known as assertion. Assertion is very common word, like expect. Here you will make the function call, and here you do what is it is expected to be. Like for example, expect, we pass this function or variable, the output we can just call this earlier also, like add 2, 3. Then we can say to be 5. So this test case should be passed. Okay. If you give 6 or something, it should fail, and it will show that exactly the error message what it is failing. So you guys got some idea about this, basic test case, or any question you have, or any just kind of different opinion about how to test it, or what do you think about it? And one more important thing, like this test, if you see, it is not available into, we have not imported or exported. So this is like available is globally. The test runner recognize it. Sometimes ESLint or some kind of in a compiler will complain about test you have not defined. But if you do some kind of configuration, it should be good. But this is this function we are not importing it explicitly. So just will recognize and know that what does test mean, and it will run it by itself. Okay. Anybody any question here?
Yeah, that was what I wanted to ask. So test, there is no definition for test or expect in the file. So, okay, you explained that already. Also, should we create a separate test folder to put the test files together, or can it be along with the same level where the source files are placed?
There is a different convention different people follow. So we'll try to talk about, because we have a little bit different opinion. We'll discuss more on that when we start coding, Mira, because that is not a very that is very important decision. And earlier I thought to create a test folder, but my mentality got a little bit changed. So initially Kenny created is close to, and we'll discuss more when we start the live coding. Okay, but that is a very important point to discuss.
Okay, sounds good.
But there is no right wrong. It is about how we feel comfortable and what is the industry standards. Many people follow a different way actually.
Okay.
Just to add to that, so I think just looks at all the files and picks up all the files that have the test.js kind of a format, and we can always override that if we are adding some configuration for jest, but by default it will look at all these files. And the test and the expect and all, when jest is running the code, it will automatically inject those into the scope. So that is why we're able to use it without importing it beforehand.
Yeah, thank you, Kenny. Like, see, just to start with, right, we have to target, like in our Twindle project, this kind of utility, like this kind of date formatting. This is a simple format, timestamp. We are passing the timestamp, and we are expecting this this format. So we can write some test cases, making sure that we are getting the date time in this same format or not. So this is not a pure function which have using some utility, but it can be testable very easily. Side effect means it is it doesn't have any API call which can goes down, or we don't need to mock any server, very less dependency. It is a kind of pure function. It take input, it return the output. Okay. So that kind of low hanging fruit we'll try to address initially. Okay. Now let me. This is not very relevant for the test case we are going to perform in the CLI, but whenever we are trying to test the swell template and mostly the UI component, then this JS DOM come into the picture. Jest by default supports JS DOM. I'm not sure like whether it is coming as part of it or not, but the React testing library or any other testing library using JS DOM underlining, it is like Puppeteer. But Puppeteer has embedded like Chromium browser. We have a Chrome browser, right? So the entire Chrome browser is embedded inside this Puppeteer. But JS DOM is the implementation by itself. So it is like lightweight browser implementation. Like the JS DOM implementation, right? It is already done separately so that it will be lightweight and it can do all the functionality like creation of the DOM, document object is available, HTML rendering, and clicking of the buttons and all this kind of whatever you see in the browser, but in a very lightweight format, it is available. But it has some limitation. For example, you can't do the layout properly, you can't do drag and drop, and those kind of other functionality you can't achieve here. But we won't go into a deep dive today. JS DOM is not relevant for today's discussion. Yeah. So I'll just explain. You guys able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just talk about a little bit the capabilities available. These are the code you will most of the time you will going to write whenever you are going to do testing. After the initial setup done in the mocking and other thing, that is very complex part. But once you setup is ready, right? But most of the time you are playing with that expect and to be. I'm not sure what this is known as expectation, and this is known as mature. The first. This expect, right? It is known as expectation object, and this to be or whatever maybe you are writing, it is known as mature. Okay. So inside this expect, inside like you can put some expression, function call, or whatever maybe. What you want to evaluate? What result you want to you're thinking that it should return, and then you can give comparison what with corresponding to which target you want to match with that. So for example, 2 plus 2, you want to match with 5. So for example, you can use 2b. 2b is kind of straight equal, 2 plus 3 is equal to 5, something like that. But if you see that, it is using that object.is not equal to triple equal to, it doesn't use. Because object.is, the benefit is, right, none equal to, how many of you know this none equal to true or false? Not a number.
Yeah, I know.
What is the answer of this?
Yeah. It's a very weird thing.
But what is the answer of that? What is the output of that? None triple equal to. Mira say false. Puru, what do you say?
Can you repeat nan triple equals?
To none.
No, it's false.
Yeah, so this kind of behavior, this object or usually do the same kind of comparison, but if you pass like none, comma none, then it will return true in that case. So this to be under the hood, it uses this object.is internally, okay? So, and also if you want to, most of this syntax is available everywhere. If you put dot, not dot to be, so if you want to do negation testing, like 2 plus 3 not to be 5, it will be throw an error because this is a failed test case. So if you want to do 2 plus 3 equal to 6 or something, not to be 6, then it will return pass the test case. Okay. And also once you do the expectation, you can use like to be false and to be null. This kind of also you can check. In many cases, you want to see that, let's say some of your output of a function, you're coming 0, empty string, false, null, undefined, or none. Then you can check to be falsy. These are all known as falsy value in JavaScript. So that kind of condition you can match. And if you want to do specific to null, if a variable is null or not, you can check to be equal to null. If you want to check undefined, you have to check to be undefined. Okay, and like to be falsy, you can have to be truthy also. Like for example, 1 and a 0 as a string representation, an empty array, empty object, or infinity. All these are truthy value. Truthy, I am not able to pronounce it. Sorry for that. But these are the false value. These are the truthy value. So you can check in your assertion whether you want to expect a false value, null value, or undefined. So to be very specific, if you are expecting like undefined, mention that to be undefined. If you are this truthy and to be falsy, you try to better to avoid. In some cases, it would be useful, but it would be giving a very bigger objective, you know. And there is a like floating point issues. Like if you, for example, 0.1 plus 0.2 to be equal to 0.3, so it should be pass or fail.
Fail because of
Fail.
floating point notation issues.
Yeah, because if you try to do console.log 0.1, 0.2, it will return a 0.300000003 or something like that. So which is not exactly at 0.3, but there is a very interesting floating point calculation. There is a interesting measure to be close 0.3. Then it will return a positive test will be true. So, and also you can string, you can match with the different, you can use 2 equal to or something, or to be, I think it will work. But there is, if you want to compare using the regular expression, you can use to match and you can pass regular expression. So regular expression is very intimidating here. Somebody. Yeah. So within the regular expression also, we can check. I think there are lots of very useful tools available to make sure that your regular expression working. But I avoid, better not to complicate too much on that. That is not very relevant, you know. And if you see this object comparison, because objects are represented as a, you know, reference. So A1 is not, if you compare equal to A1, they are not equal, you know, to object comparison cannot be done properly because they are comparing with the reference data. So if you want to compare between two objects, you have to use two equal. This is a very important distinction. You both guys understood this one?
Yeah, difference between primitive types and object types, right? So for primitive, we can use 2B.
Yeah, so primitive type you can use 2B.
But for object comparisons, we need to use 2 equal, right?
Yes, yes.
Can you repeat?
I have a question about that. So about this this object to equal thing. So how deep does it go to compare them?
Yeah, deep equality is always a challenge, Puru, but I'm not sure at this moment. But you can try with some example. But I think they're doing some deep comparison, maybe JSON string if I have something like that.
Yeah,
But
I
I'm
mean,
not
if
very sure about it because deep cloning is always an issue with JavaScript because there is no built-in support for doing deep comparison.
yeah, that might be a problem, but if underneath it they are using the Lodash's method, then I don't think we have any problem. We can test as deep as we want, I think.
Yeah,
That
but this kind of thing is we can try out some example just to validate our, you know, hypothesis, but just to make the beginner differentiation. So if you use 2B, your test case will fail. So you should always use 2 equal. Simran, you got it?
Yeah, I got it. But I want even I actually I had a doubt what Puru asked. That doubt even I had. I understood the concept.
Yeah, no problem. That is better to try it out and you know, get your doubt clarified by yourself.
Yeah.
My main idea is to involve lots of question in your mind so that you can try it out yourself. Okay, anyway, like there is some other useful method available, like to contain, like this is very self-explanatory. One element is present inside one area or not. Okay, I think yeah. And once some function is throwing error, So we can check like whether the tooth row, on tooth row we can pass as error, and tooth row we can pass some kind of string, and we can compare with the message like regular expression, something like that. Okay. So all are able to follow this about tooth row SSN?
Yes, Praful, I do.
Yeah, and there are some very this is not very exclusive set, but you guys got the idea, right? Like these are the basic SSN. I think if you follow this thing, right, you're good to compare most of the test cases, because basically you have to compare primitive or array or object, or do some kind of exception checking and that kind of thing.
Yeah, this
So
set of matches should be enough, sufficient for us mostly.
yeah, and also this is one more helpful, like, to compare the array length. Like array length is 0 or not, or array length is specific, like if you are expecting 2, 3 or something like that. So you can just compare array length. That example I've seen many of the time. Okay, so we'll move to the next topic. So any question on the method, or we are good to proceed?
I have a question about the object comparison. Like, does that object comparison method also work for arrays?
Yes, that to be equal to work with the array as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, don't use to
Praful?
be. Yeah.
Yeah, so before moving on to the next topic, is it possible to show a small demo? Or you want to move to the next topic?
I just want to cover everything so that if somebody else can, we can start coding directly. Because I have not set up everything, then I have to.
Okay, got it. Sure.
Yeah, this is just kind of, I don't want to be like teaching that. I just want to give some kind of basic features availability so that we can explore more and we can Google it and we can try coding ourselves. This is just to give them some idea that these are the feature available. Now, once we face problem, we have to deep dive again.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
So I want to just quickly wrap it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me continue. Like this callback testing, right? Like this callback method. Like for example, here we have like fetch to dos, but most of the time I don't think we are using this callback approach, and we are like asking await and that kind of thing available. But assume that we have callback approach. We have set timeout, and once after 3 seconds, we're calling this title this to do list. Okay. And the way we are calling it, right, fetch to dos, we get the to do and we log it the information. These are our application code. So if you want to test it, right, if you use a normal function like test, and if you call this fetch to dos and callback function, and if you give a callback implementation, then if you can assume that this callback is called, because but ideally this won't be called in this approach. So am I confused you, or I have to explain a little bit more deeper? So see, this is a fetch to do's implementation function. This is a callback function, okay? And inside this, we are calling the set timeout. Inside the set timeout, this is the asynchronous operation. Here we are calling this callback. We are passing this object. This is a function implementation. Anybody has any doubt on this fetch to do's, or it is clear?
No, the function is clear. Test is the problem.
Yeah, clear.
Yeah, so we can call this fetch to do's. Forget about test here. In the below, we are calling this function fetch to do's, and we are getting to do, and we are just returning this value, right? That is how we test it. It will work, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Coming to the test, forget about this test thing, all the thing. But here we are calling this fetch to do's. Same thing I've written. Whatever you see, it is exactly same thing like below. Here it is inline anonymous function, but here I just separated to a callback function. There is no difference, right?
Yeah. Okay, I see. There's no difference.
Yeah. So ideally, if you do this, then you assume that once you call this fetch to do's, then this log should be printed, right? Callback called, isn't it?
Yeah, instantly.
Yeah. So it should print it, right? This is the approach to call this callback.
Yeah, but it doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. Then once you got the callback, you are assuming that you are expecting to do and equal to, you have to compare it, Then you assume that
Yeah.
the test case will pass, but it won't work like this way. This callback won't be executed. Okay.
Okay.
For testing the callback, right, you have to pass one argument done as a argument to the test. This is very important.
Okay.
Callback function needs to be called before finished. Then what will happen? Inside the callback function, right? You can do try catch or whatever maybe you like, but this is optional. But after this console.log, you have to call explicitly this done function. Done, you got the argument, and you have to in this callback function, you have to call this as a done function call again. This is just empty call.
Okay.
Then just recognize to call this callback function. Just basically you
Only
add
if
the
the
done.
done is passed, the callback function will be executed. That's the logic, right? Because
Yeah,
only
yeah,
then we'll call the done function. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. But I think once we do some example, we can be clear on that. If you have any callback function, then we can add done, and with the done, we can try it out, and you can see that. Okay. Kenny, do you want to add anything, or we skip to the other topic?
No, it's a bit confusing for me also. So once we do it, I think it will make much more clarity.
Yes.
The good thing is I don't think we are using much callbacks. We are mostly using keeping await and promises. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, this is one very good feature. In few limited cases we can use, but it is recommended not to use across the board, but better to avoid it. Like this is, we have data file, we have an array and we have a JSON structure. And we can import to-dos from this JSON file. Then if you do expect to-dos and to match snapshot, if you call, the first time you run it, right, it will create this file. It will create this folder _ snapshots _ and to-do spec JSON snap file. This snapshot file will be created for the first time, okay? Then the test will pass. The second time if you run it, then it will compare this name profile with that snapshot file. If it is matching, then test will be pass. If this name, if you change it to Puru, then the test will fail. You got it?
yeah. So this is for JSON file comparison.
Not even JSON file. You can compare with any object, anything. Like from the Twitter response, from your function response, or you can put any object, it will work. You just call your all entire Twitter project and you got the big JSON, right? What you are passing to the renderer. So you can, you just have to do this thing. So if anybody changing that JSON object structure, it will fail immediately.
Yeah.
So within one line, your all testing will be done.
Yeah, but you said we shouldn't use this much, right? Why?
Because the problem is that the JSON would be so big. There is if your test case is failed, right? Like people, what they will do, people like Puru, you'll immediately run that update snapshot just to make the test case faster. Then it will overwrite this snapshot file.
Oh, okay.
Then the test case will pass, and then he'll commit the changes. And lazy reviewer like me, I'll just say click the approve the button, even the test is failed.
Okay.
That's what actually happened in all the project. Nobody review, like it will written like 100 lines of snapshot file, and who will go through read each and every line.
Okay.
Puru, you agree with that?
Yeah, completely.
So for that reason, we should try to avoid to use it. But it is very good tool if it is using to. And for example, here one SSN I got one. Like for example, in object, we can have check the property, to have property is name. So this we can use in our project also. Like for example, which is the property we want to use. Now snapshot we won't discuss anymore because it is not. Now this is one important aspect. This I want to discuss very in detail, but let us did some example, then we can try it out. So this is like the very important aspect. Here we can mock any function. Let's say I have few more example. I'll talk about it more. But we can create a function here like just.fn. Fn is a shortcut. And here we can pass a callback function. This is the implementation. So here we got the function call. Like if you call with hi, so it will return to be hello from mock. So this assertion will be true. And this mock function will keep track of it, how many calls has been made. Because the normal function is not capable enough to track how many, who called it, whether it called it or not. Because let's say you are having some, yeah. For example, let's say we mock this node fetch. It is a different function, right? So we can, this just function will give an opportunity to mock this particular function. Got it? Then once we call this fetch function, then we can keep track of it, this function node fetch is called or not. So how many time it is called? And which are the argument you are passing? Are you passing a get? Are you passing authorization token? Are you passing this redirect or not? So we can inspect everything. And also, instead of returning this final response, what this guy is returning, we can return some mock response by following the same structure as this guy is written. So this is what we can do that. You guys got our basic idea about it? Once you do, it will be clear. But got the basic idea?
Yeah, so basically we're mocking a function. We can expect some output and we can also check what arguments are being passed to the function, right?
Yes, yes. And how many times it
Keep
called
track
you?
of it and how many times it has been called and what arguments have been passed. We can check all that. That's what you're saying.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Actually, Praful, actually, I had referred this just. So I think you missed one method. There is something called instances, mock.instances, like to find out the number of instances that is being called, number of times it is being called. So
Yeah, that could be a part of this, maybe.
yeah, I mean I did not find it
Yeah,
here, but yeah,
this is
I
not
saw I
very.
read it yesterday.
This is not very exclusive set, just to give an idea that this is available. And
Yeah.
this is very high level picture, I am not planning to capture each and every bits and pieces. There are some function is also available here. Instead of like instances, you can give pass the function name and to be called how many number of times. That number you can give 2, 3, 4 like that. That instances is internal variable. You should not expose it outside. You may not need it most of the time. But you got the idea, right? Like the basically what this function will do, right?
Yeah.
But this is very powerful and
Yeah.
Yeah, Puru, you're saying something?
No, I'm not. Oh, sir, I think it might be echoing.
Okay, no problem. See, one more thing you guys confuse, like just.fn, like mock implementation, whether you write the mock implementation or this is like inside this you'll pass a callback function. Basically, both are the same thing, okay? And here, like couple of reset function is available, like for example, mock clear, mock reset, mock restore. I won't go into deep, but there are certain thing we can, after each running test case, we can just reset it a little bit. And mock name, this would be helpful for giving some proper name so that in test case output it will be available. And this is not a relevant much thing. And mock return value, resolve and reject value are very. I'll have one more example. I'll show it quickly. So those are deals with the mocking the asynchronous call. Like for example, if you want to mock fetch, or if you want to mock async await kind of call we are calling, so that kind of thing we have to use this kind of mock resolve value and mock rejected value, because this particular simple gesture function is only returning primitive type, string, object, or array, or anything we can return. But this mock resolve value and mock rejected value will going to mock the promises. So you guys got the basic idea about this?
Yeah, little bit. The functions are a little bit clear.
Okay, let me quickly go to some other thing. Yeah, this is one more interesting function like spy on. It is a little bit different than fn. So this will spy. This will that calculator add, this method can be executed as it is. Like calculator, we have one object and add, it will do what it needs to be done. If you put on spy on, right, then we can I think I have some problem. Some noise you'll have to excuse me. So the spy on, I will discuss more on that, but it can it won't mock the implementation. It can do, but it can spy any function call, and we can get the idea that how many time it is calling and how many time not. Okay.
Praful, just one quick thing. So if there are two test cases that are being written on the same function, then how will that spy keep track of it? Like, will it keep track of both the arguments? Like, for example, in the previous slide, if I test it with 2, 3 equals 5, and then another case 3, 3 equals 6. So what will be the result of that third spy to have been called? Will it return true or false?
I
Can you
think
hear
it
me?
will.
Kenny, do you want to answer it? I have some noise problem.
Yeah, I'm also not sure, but I think it will pick up the latest execution of that function. So we would need
false then.
we would need multiple. So like just like we have 2 lines here, we would need to have 4 lines if we want to test another case.
Okay.
Yeah, we can start some coding now. I have some noise problem. Somebody can start sharing the screen and drive it, like start the coding. And I can have some more slide. I'll come a little bit later part, okay? Too much theory is also not helpful. Who want to set the screen and volunteer? Not me. Today live session.
I'm on my phone right now. Does anyone else?
My son is about to wake up. That's why I'm hesitating a little bit. Otherwise, I can do it. By the way, where are we going to work on? Like, share the screen and work on Visual Studio Code itself?
Twindle project.
Okay, on the Twindle project. Okay. If no one else is doing it, then yeah, I can probably do
Puro
it.
Tromley.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can
Hello.
see. Can you drive it a little bit to start the test cases? To start the testing the pure function at least.
Yeah. Okay. Any particular module that you have in mind, Praful?
Anything like Twitter utility file we can start, like date formatting and pure function part.
Utility part is better one. We can do there.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier. I think, simple functions.
Yeah.
So we are going to be coding in the Twindle folder only.
Yeah, anywhere you can revert back later at later point of time.
Yeah,
if
no issue.
something
I'll
goes
just
wrong.
make it a branch.
Yeah.
We are not going to revert it back. We're going to commit it. So this would be the live coding, You're going to commit it after end of this thing, Puru.
Yes, okay. Give me a minute to sync everything.
Yeah.
Are you guys able
Oh
to
my
see
God.
Puru's screen already? Because I can't see it. I
Oh,
can
these
still
are,
see only
that's a lot
Puru's
of
screen.
commits here.
So do I share my screen? I have written 2-3 functions.
Yeah, if you want, go ahead, Tramvi. Is that okay, others?
Yeah. Probably you can just get started. Let Poro fixes
Yeah,
that.
let Puru set it up
All
in the
right,
meantime.
I'm done. I'm
Yeah.
done now, I think. Yeah, I'm done.
Okay.
Okay then.
Okay, so where are our tests exactly?
No, there are no tests. You can open the utility folder and make a new file.
No,
Okay.
as much as I remember, there were tests, I think. Oh, here.
Yeah, there were
One
tests.
more input I want to give, before Mira asked the question, right? Kenny, I'm thinking right, because I'm going through this can't see dots approach and other thing, and he is also suggesting that better to keep the test where the program is available, so which will give a better, to find the test very easily. What do you think about it?
I'm also fine with that, but when we had a discussion, I think on a GitHub issue for where to place a test, and the idea of keeping the test separate from the file location was that it would be, how do we say, not coupled directly with the location of the file or something like that. But I'm open to ideas. I'm not
Yeah, I mean,
set
how
in
do we
that.
keep track of which file is being tested?
Yeah,
So,
because we have to maintain the file structure, and we have to import it,
yeah,
go
the
through the
same
file
structure needs to
chain,
be
and
replicated within the test.
it should
Actually,
be.
Yeah, we can do one by one
actually,
testing. Each file we can test separately.
Actually, the thing is that the first time I added in some tests and committed, they were actually side by side with that file. But then later on, we moved to a different folder. So I'm actually more in favor of the side by side approach. It's going to look a little bit messy in VS Code, but it would be better overall.
Yeah, we can do that for now at least.
Yeah, I mean,
stream.
I think it's better to do it one file at a time for now. Keep it together, and then maybe down the road we can separate it.
Yeah, maybe I have seen some bigger projects. This is debatable. We can keep side by side. Let's see how it is going. I think we'll stick to the side to side approach only.
Yeah, for now, Proful, because we are just beginning, so we'll
I think
see.
this should be long term also. Side by side approach is good. If the files are getting clumsy, right? The convention this guy is following, KNC Dots, who is a very good author in written lots of test utility. They create one more folder under utils __ test __. Then he can keep. But if you have so many files, if you have like 10, 20 files into one folder, then we can create another child folder. Then we can keep the test case over there. But if you have
Yeah,
like
that also
5,
makes
6
sense.
files, then we can just
Yeah.
place alongside that. Let's see how it is.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Kenny, can you little bit drive it?
Yeah. So Puru, let's open some of the util files. Maybe the date file itself.
Yeah, actually, so the thing is that the date.js already had a test, so I just copied it and put it side by side. You can see my cursor here. So I just put it here. I just copied the whole thing.
Okay, I think the date function formatting would be a difficult thing to explain out of the box, but So what it's doing is it's requiring date from the. Could you open the date just also side by side?
Yeah. Okay, side by side.
Yeah, just pull it side by side. Yeah.
And I'll just move into the Zen mode. Okay.
And one more thing, like I was like this describe all this thing, right? It is unnecessarily make the test case very complicated. I think there is no need for all this.
We can write test in place of it, and you can remove this describe.
Yeah. Just remove this describe block and just keep the convert the it to test. That will make very simple, and whoever open the file, they won't be confused like what describe and less learning for them.
I think because a lot of those were in a single file, I had to write all those extra stuff.
Yeah, that is good actually, but
yeah, if you want to add more test within that describe or that's why describe block is for.
Okay.
Yeah, but we'll write describe remove it.
That also Puru, you can remove it because we have the file name.
Yeah, just replace the it with test.
Just change it to text.
It to test.
Yeah, now better.
Yeah.
Yeah, so essentially what is happening is we have a date module on the right side. That is the actual code that we have. It is requiring a function called format, which is from a library called date functions. So that is the first line that you're seeing there. And we have created another function which is called formats timestamp. It will take a timestamp. Timestamp is essentially a representation of the current time. And it will use that same external format function to format it into a particular format that I think is given as a comment above the function name. And the formatting string is what is shown at the right side of the screen, MMMD and then 4wise. So essentially, in coming to the test on the left side, what we're saying is the format function should correctly format the date. So we are expecting a certain format. So we are hard coding a particular date, creating a date by calling the new date function. So there we are creating a date of 2020 January 1st, and we are passing that date into the format timestamp function which we have written on the right side. So that will give us a string var representation of the date, and we are saying that we are expecting that that transform date should be equal to the exact format that we are expecting. Is that clear? Puru, do you want to run it?
All right.
Now, can we use to be here because it's just a string anyway? Can we use a to be, or since strings are considered as objects, how does that work? Only two equal will work as a matter.
Yeah, to be should work. Like you can try with to be. Let's just execute this run test case.
Yeah.
All right, so it ran, but the thing is that we have like all of our different tests. So how do I exclude all of them?
Puru, you can do one thing. You can do npm test. Write that thing. npm test. Yes, you want to run only single file, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you can write npm test.
Yes.
Dash dash.
Dash dash.
Space and the file name which you want to run. So date.test.js.
Dash dash and then space.
Yeah, space. And then in the file name, date.test.js.
Okay, let me just go into that folder, Twitter/utils.
Probably should it be a file path or is it just a...
No, just a file name which you want to run. The test
Puru,
file.
just it will search for it. It will search for it, Puru.
You don't need to search for it. You have written just the test file. You can do npm test dash and the file. Date.test.js. Yeah, it will run only the test file for JS for date.
Oh, nice.
And also you can run in a watch mode, I believe. There is
watch. There is a watch. Yeah. But we have to configure it, I think, in the JSON.
No, that is fine, I think. Yeah, now change. Yeah, now now do one thing. Change it to something else. Change. Yeah, this is what we're looking for. You type P. You type P there. Then give the file name. That's fine.
Where should I type the P date?
No,
in the
no.
count?
You forget about that. January 1, can you change it to January 2?
So basically, you want to test the failed case, right, Prabhu?
Yeah, save it.
It's running and
Yes.
it failed.
It failed. So expected and received. Okay.
So it gives us a good output formatting. It says what exactly is wrong, and I think it is like giving us a very good understanding about what is expected and what is received, kind of like the diff that we get in the Git. So so this is exactly running one test right now.
Now from 2 equal to, can you change to 2b?
To be.
Oh,
Matcher.
okay.
Change the
2B.
matcher from 2 equal. Capital E.